My name is Peyton Durning. I'm a 5th semester graduating nursing student from Franciscan Ministries of Arlea Lake University. Pre-COVID, before the pandemic, we would go to class. There were about 40 plus people in every class. We went to class one day a week. We also did simulation labs, which included practicing on either live actor patients or mechanical dummies, and it went through like what could happen during the nursing experience. We also did skills labs, which taught us, our different skills like IVs, catheters, trach care, stuff like that. We also did some community outreach projects. Mine personally was with an elderly community, and we would go there once a week. I also did some community outreach in public health communities and helping in those centers. When we found out that the pandemic was getting serious, our school emailed us and they said, we're not going to have y'all return to class. We want to keep y'all as safe as possible. We're canceling all of your clinical hours, which our clinical hours are our in-hospital experiences with our actual patients on the units that we are assigned in the hospitals. All of that stopped. All in-class stopped. So now, post-COVID, it's very different for nursing students. So at one point we were doing online simulations, which was very difficult for us because we were not doing care on actual patients. It was all online simulations, which was very difficult for us to, learn how to communicate with our patients, learn how to actually do our skills. Now they've lightened up a little bit on our restrictions for graduating semester nurses like myself. I was allowed to do my clinical preceptorship, which that entails they let us pick a unit that we would like to precept on, and in that preceptorship we would spend 12-hour shifts with a nurse, and they would basically show us how to actually be a nurse. And in that clinical period, I learned more in that time period than I did probably in my other 4 semesters of nursing school. My biggest fear when the pandemic happened was I didn't feel prepared. I felt like I was kind of getting gypped on my education, and that I wasn't going to be able, when I entered the workforce, to be able to accurately care for my patients, which was very concerning to most of the students in my class. Being in an emergency room where you didn't know who had COVID and who didn't, I feel like now I am ready to enter the workforce and help my patients who are in need. I think entering the workforce during a pandemic has drastically increased my ability to work as a nurse, that we could not have entered the nursing field in a more critical time. These are when our patients need us, and at this time, this is the worst it can get, hopefully. And I feel like nursing students who are entering right now will be some of the most prepared nurses throughout the entire nursing profession. If another pandemic happened that wasn't a respiratory pandemic like COVID-19, that we would be a little bit more prepared. We would know what to expect nowadays, but it would, if it did come from a different body system, it would be a different challenge. But I feel like as medical professionals and as like a healthcare team that we would be able to work together and figure it out, and hopefully we would be more prepared than we were for this pandemic. This little orange dot on my name tag, every time we walk into the hospital, they make sure to take our temperatures and they ask us if we're having any signs of COVID-19. And if we are not and our temperature is okay, they give us a dot like this or a dot like this. And each dot represents a different day that you went into the hospital. And if you have the dot, that means that you are okay to care for your patients.
Hey, my name's Wendy Durning. I've been a nurse since 1990. Graduated from LSU in New Orleans. Right now, I work at Our Lady of the Lake Hospital as a heart and vascular nurse on a floor, and we take care of 5 to 6 patients a piece. In March, when the pandemic started, we were all working. None of us really knew what was going on at the time. The managers knew that we had a couple of COVID patients coming in, but as far as the workers knowing, we didn't know. They hid it from us, basically. Then things started happening where they started like moving, they combined the 8th floor down to the 7th floor, which is my floor, and they told us that the 8th floor, their census was low, and that's why they were sending those employees down to us to work with us. But in reality, they were using that floor to open up a COVID unit because COVID patients were just swarming in. And within like a 3-day period, the hospital changed so much. I mean, as far as us, we moved to another floor, then they opened up our floor as a COVID unit. And next thing we knew, we had 11 COVID units open. Like 11 COVID units open, and not enough nurses to work on the floors. Well, visitor policy, it changes daily. When COVID first came out, they were still allowing some visitors to come in, but as it progressively got worse, then no visitors were allowed. Not one visitor, which was really hard on the patients. But now things are a little bit better. They are allowed to have 3 family members a day, but they can't swap out their family members or friends. It has to be the same 3 family members for that day. Now, when this first came out, it was really scary for everyone. Nurses were like calling in, not wanting to go to work. People were literally having anxiety attacks. A coworker of mine took a leave where she didn't even come to work for like a month. I even called in at first because I was scared to go to work because none of us knew what was really going to happen. I mean, we all thought we were going to die, basically. Then we were short PPE equipment, which is personal protective equipment like masks. And in the beginning, they wouldn't even let us wear masks. Only the COVID nurses were able to wear masks. Now, we could bring a mask from home, but they did not let us wear a mask that was provided by the hospital because we were so short of PPEs. So yeah, that was a big problem. It's changed nursing a lot because, nurses are having to go from units to units, go to their unit. We even get pulled to other units because there's such a shortage. I think we're better prepared now for if something else happened in the future, with our PPE equipment. The main problem is just trying to get people in college to graduate and want to become a nurse or in the medical profession to try to help get rid of this shortage. When COVID first, came to the United States, we didn't know anything about COVID. They're still researching COVID now. In the beginning, we had such an influx of patients, like within like a week period, we had over 200 patients. And patients were dying a lot. They were being put on ventilators. They were using different meds than they use now, but now they know a lot more about COVID. There's a better algorithm for what they do with the COVID patients. They have new meds. They even give plasma. So a lot has turned around for the COVID patients where, not as many people are dying, but it's still a really bad disease. Everything at the hospital changed. It wasn't just the family coming in and how many family members, but it was also arriving to the hospital. There's so many exits you could go in, so many exits that you can go out. It's still that way. They used to check our temperature every time we walked in the building, but now they don't do that. They want us to check our own temperatures, and then we have an app on our phone that we answer the questions. And if we say we have a temp or we have a sore throat, it won't allow us to even go in the hospital.
Okay.
So that, that's been a change.